You are 7 years old. It is late, and you are supposed to be asleep. But you can hear them through the wall. Your parents at the kitchen table, talking about money in those low, tight voices that mean something is wrong. You don't understand the words. Mortgage. Overdraft. We can't afford it. But you understand the feeling perfectly. Money is danger. Money is the thing that makes the two people you love most afraid. You are 7. You cannot read a bank statement. But in that moment, without anyone teaching you a single lesson on purpose, you learn something about money that you will carry for the next 40 years. And here is the strange part. You will forget you ever learned it. It will sink so deep that one day, as a grown adult, you will make a choice about money that makes no logical sense at all, and you will be certain it was your own free decision. It was not. It was a line someone handed you at a kitchen table when you were 7 years old. This is Money Mind, where we look at the psychology behind every dollar. We're not here to talk about budgets or interest rates or the stock market. We're here to understand why you feel the way you feel about money and where those feelings were really born. And today's truth is a quiet, tender one. You did not choose most of your money beliefs. They were written into you before you were old enough to argue back. Before you could even read, you were handed a script. And you have been performing it ever since, convinced the lines were your own. If you have ever wondered why you can earn more and still feel the exact same way about money, this is why. Subscribe, because we are about to go back and read the script you never knew you were following. The usual money advice treats you like a blank spreadsheet. Just learn the right information, it says. Read the book, download the app, make the plan, and the right behavior will follow. As if the only thing standing between you and financial peace is a fact you simply haven't heard yet. But if information were enough, then nobody who understood money would ever struggle with it. And that is obviously not true. Because the way you handle money was never really about information. It was set long before you could do arithmetic, by feelings you absorbed before you had any words for them. You are not running on facts, you are running on a program that was installed in childhood, and no amount of fresh information will override a program you cannot even see. You cannot logic your way out of a feeling you learned before you could talk. In 2013, researchers at the University of Cambridge set out to find exactly when our money habits form. They studied how young children develop their whole approach to money, things like patience, planning, and self-control. What they found was startling. The core habits that shape how you handle money for the rest of your life are largely set by the age of 7. 7. Before long division. Before you could ride a bike without someone holding the seat. And the researchers were blunt about it. That early window, from 0 to 7, is critical, and these habits are very hard to reverse later in life. And a few years before that, a financial psychologist named Dr. Brad Klontz gave these childhood programs a name. He called them money scripts. A money script is a belief about money, almost always formed in childhood, almost always completely unconscious, that quietly drives what you do with every dollar as an adult. Klontz and his colleagues studied hundreds of people and found something remarkable. These scripts, written when you were small, actually predict your income, your net worth, and your money problems decades later. The child at the kitchen table is still holding the pen. So what exactly is a money script? Here it is in plain words. It is a one-sentence rule about money that you learned as a child by watching, not by being taught, and that you now obey as an adult without ever once questioning it. Say it even simpler. It is a line you were handed. Somebody, usually your parents, was living out their own tangled relationship with money, right there in front of you. You watched, you absorbed, and a rule wrote itself into you, in permanent ink, before you were old enough to ask whether it was even true. Money is dirty. Rich people are greedy. There will never be enough. We do not talk about money in this house. Money is the only thing that keeps you safe. You never sat down and decided to believe any of these. You simply caught them, the way a small child catches an accent, and then spent the rest of your life speaking in it without hearing it. Now you might be thinking, that is a nice theory, but I don't remember absorbing any rules. That is exactly the point. A money script does not feel like a belief you are holding. It feels like the plain truth about the world. It feels like simple common sense, like just the way things obviously are. You do not experience it as an opinion you could question. You experience it as reality itself. So the way to find yours is not to search your memory. It is to look at your behavior, at the money moments where you act against your own logic, and ask one question. What rule would make this make sense? Clance found that these scripts sort into 4 main types. Watch closely and see which one is quietly wearing your face. The first is money avoidance. This is the script that says money is bad, and wanting it makes you a bad person. If this is your line, you feel a flicker of guilt when you have money, and a strange secret relief when it is gone. You undercharge. You give it away. You avoid even looking at your accounts because looking feels shameful. The researchers found that people carrying this script tend to have lower incomes and less saved. Not because they cannot earn, but because somewhere, a child quietly decided that money was something to push away. The second is money worship. This is the opposite line. More money will finally fix everything. If this is your script, there is never enough, no matter how much actually arrives. You believe the next raise, the next number, is the thing that will finally make you happy, and you chase it far past the point of reason, often straight past the very people you love. The trap is written into the belief itself. If money is the answer to everything, then no amount is ever quite the answer to enough. The third is money status. This one whispers that you are what you own. Your worth as a person is your net worth. If this is your line, you spend to be seen. You tie your self-esteem to the car and the label and the postcode, and any threat to your lifestyle feels like a threat to your very self. You are not really buying the object. You are buying proof that you matter. And the fourth is money vigilance. This is the watchful one. Save, never waste, never fully relax. On the surface, this one sounds healthy, and in small doses it truly is. But turned up too high, it curdles into an anxiety that no bank balance can ever soothe. You have enough, and you still lie awake doing the math. You cannot enjoy a single cent because the child who learned that safety can vanish overnight never got the message that the danger has finally passed. Now the part that stings. Whichever of these is yours, you did not write it. And yet you have spent your entire adult life defending it as though you did. You call your money avoidance being humble. You call your money worship being ambitious. You call your status spending having taste, and your vigilance being responsible. You have built a whole personality on top of a rule that a frightened child once absorbed at a kitchen table, and then you mistook that rule for who you are. And here is the heaviest part of all. If you do nothing, you will hand it straight down. Your own children are at their own kitchen table right now, watching you, absorbing your tight voice, your sudden silences, your little flinch when the bill lands on the table. The script does not end with you, unless you choose to end it. It quietly writes its next copy into the person who loves you most and understands it least. That is how it has always traveled. Not through teaching, through inheritance. So how do you rewrite a line you cannot even see? You cannot delete your childhood. But you can finally read the script out loud, and a script read out loud loses its power to run you in secret. 3 steps. 1. Find the flashpoint. Think back to your earliest money memory, the very first time money made you feel something strong. Fear, shame, excitement, relief. That single moment is almost always where your script was written. You are not hunting for a fact, you are hunting for a feeling, because the feeling was the ink. 2. Say the rule out loud. Once you find the memory, put the belief hiding inside it into one plain sentence. I believe money is dangerous. I believe I am only worth what I earn. Saying it out loud does something quietly powerful. It turns an invisible truth back into what it always secretly was. Just a sentence, a line once handed to a child. And a sentence can be edited. 3. Write the next line yourself. Now, as an adult, with everything you know that the child never did, choose the belief you actually want to live by and say it back to yourself. Money is a tool I can use with care. I am safe now, and I am allowed to enjoy what I have. You will not believe it at first, and that is completely fine. You are not erasing the old line overnight. You are simply, for the first time in your whole life, holding the pen. And if any of this brought something heavy up, some old ache you were not expecting, be gentle with the person it belongs to. Because none of this was ever your fault. You did not choose your first money memory. You did not choose the voices through the wall, or the flinch, or the fear. You were a child, doing the exact thing every child is built to do, learning how the world works by watching the giants who seem to run it. The adult you have been so hard on, the one who hides from the bank statements, or can never once feel like enough, or spends just to feel like somebody, that adult is not broken, or greedy, or weak. That adult is a 7-year-old who is still, very quietly, trying to stay safe. You do not need to be ashamed of them. You need to sit down beside them and gently take the pen out of their small hand. So here is the quiet freedom in all of this. If your money beliefs were written, then they can be rewritten. If the lines were handed to you, then you were never truly the author. And the moment you really understand that, everything shifts. You go back to that kitchen table, to the 7-year-old listening through the wall, and instead of letting them run the rest of your life from the dark, you finally read the script they were handed. You see the fear for exactly what it was, and you pick up the pen they never knew they were allowed to hold. You cannot change the first line of your story, but you were never meant to keep reciting it forever. So the next time you catch yourself in a money moment that makes no sense, the guilt, the chasing, the flinch, pause for just 1 second and ask the only question that sets you free. Is this my line, or did somebody hand it to me? If this gave words to something you have carried since you were small, share it with someone who needs to read their own script too. And subscribe, because next time we are going to look at another quiet force shaping the way you live. I'll see you there.